Allô.
Allô, ouais,
C'est moi quoi. Je pense que c'est une chance parce qu'il n'y a pas énormément de monde qui a un frère qui est au niveau le plus haut du jeu. La deuxième étape, bien sûr, c'est de gagner un titre avec mon frère parce que je pense que ça sera un rêve. Hein.
Ouais, jouer avec son frère, c'est incroyable. Et voilà, le fait d'avoir son frère à côté, qui t'épaule, ça fait quand même quelque chose. C'est que du bonheur. Je dirais les avantages, c'est que voilà, on peut tous dire, et on a l'habitude dans notre enfance de voilà, grandir avec une bonne complicité. On n'a jamais eu d'embrouille ou quoi que ce soit. On se dit des choses s'il faut le dire. On n'a pas la peur de vexer l'autre. Voilà, puisqu'on se connaît, on sait quel mot employer. Je pense que c'est directement, ça aide beaucoup plus en dehors du jeu. Et même dans le jeu, voilà, on se comprend dans certaines choses, pas besoin de parler. Ou on se connaît tellement par cœur que voilà, c'est direct automatique. Franchement, inconvénient, j'en vois pas vraiment. Bon, pour moi, il y en a vraiment pas. En étant vedette, c'est vrai, il n'y en a pas, on s'entend bien, et voilà, on kiffe.
Pareil, pour moi, il n'y a pas d'inconvénient. Le seul inconvénient, ce serait si un de nous deux n'avait pas le niveau et qu'on essaierait à chaque fois forcer à rester dans la même équipe, mais c'est pas le cas. Nabil et moi, je pense, on a le niveau largement et il n'y en a pas un plus faible que l'autre, donc ça c'est très important. Il y a une confiance en plus, je pense, parce que tu sais que au-delà du joueur, il y a l'être humain et que l'être humain n'abandonnera pas son frère. Tu vois. Dans une équipe, on est tous des frères, mais après, quand c'est vraiment ton frère de sang, c'est différent quand même, parce que tu as 100% confiance en lui sur tous les aspects, que ce soit en dehors du jeu et dans le jeu.
C'est vraiment c'est lui, hein, ça se voit même à son gabarit. Mais...
Là, actuellement, on essaie de reprendre un peu le sport, mais j'ai fait pas mal de sport dans ma jeunesse. Là, je suis vieux. Non, mais on essaie de reprendre petit à petit. Mais Nabil aussi, il voulait s'y mettre. Donc,
ouais, voilà, c'est dans le projet. C'est le projet chez lui.
On peut tous avoir des moments où on est un peu plus cheaté que d'autres. En vrai, ça c'est équilibré, je pense qu'on rage tous les deux, mais quand j'avais le lead, j'étais plus amené à rager, parce que sur des petits détails, sur des petites erreurs, donc c'est une rage différente, mais
ouais, voilà,
de manière générale, on rage plus.
Je pense pas que c'est de la rage, voilà, comme étant de la rage, je pense que c'est plus un peu de frustration. J'aurais dû plus le terme frustration, parce que la rage, voilà, on n'est pas des mecs qui ragent, qui s'énervent.
Gagner un titre avec son frère, c'est le but. But to actually be able to win a title with his brother, you gotta get over Curax, because that guy is a hurdle in their way.
I mean, I think it started off pretty well for Carmine. Like, they pick up the pistol, the win a bonus. Their attacking side looks a lot more cohesive, well structured, and we saw FUT just sort of running into them, just dry peeking them each time. The Vera brings out the attack up and just gets free kills. But then FUT started to get a bit more control, and certainly as we got into the second half, it was all FUT Esports from then on out.
You know, the problem about it is you're displaying it is in the sense of, like, you know, it was actually well played by Corman Corp. I'm gonna give him that. But the way they lost towards the end, this is like the heartbreak to me, because that was the fashion is really what hurt it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're looking at KC, and you have the 3-0 start. You're then falling off quite heavily. I mean, also got to give it to FUT, the ability to bring it back after a questionable start of the game. But again, Curax, as we already mentioned, this guy, we said the Gecko was coming out last time against Vitality. We weren't too convinced, but Ryan, are you convinced now?
I mean, it looked a lot stronger. I think it still took a while for us to see any of that utility have a huge amount of impact from FUT. Also, on the subject of, like, KC, they win both pistols, win a bonus, and they still only get 8 rounds in the end. That's, like, a little bit catastrophic. But I think in regards to the fact that it's, again, like a slow start from FUT, and it took theatrics from players like Mr. Fallon to actually get rounds on the board initially.
You know what's even worse when we're talking about numbers? There's a +9 advantage in first kills for Cormaker. +9. This is immense. Both Nivera and Stream ended up on 6 entries each. But as you've mentioned, it was really coming down to a lot of individual performance on the first half in particular, when we're talking about buy round versus buy round. I think this is the crucial part, right? It started great with the retakes, this is what we've seen, but here it started. This was the turnaround moment for me. They were playing, they don't know sheriffs, they were playing pistols, and they were succeeding with just that, as Corman Corp had every advantage in those rounds. They were throwing it away, and those were 2 crucial rounds that could have definitely had a different outcome. but FUT had just pistols.
Yeah, on the attacking side as well, it felt like quite repetitive from the side of K-Corp, continuously hitting the A site, and even after the timeout, it didn't feel like we've seen much.
But it was just like, I understand trying to hit the A site because no team wants to play retake on it ultimately. So FUT then started to just stack bodies there, waiting for it, and it wasn't as if like KC were like leaning towards A initially and then resetting and going B or C, which is something that FUT did really well. Like especially the Killjoy player finding space, going on lurks, like Modge just being able to go into the back of B site before anybody's realized. It makes FUT's executes onto the site so much easier. We didn't really see XMS like lurking at all. It was just all 5 players from KC on their attack, all going A into FUT players that are already there waiting for them.
Yeah, and the fact that KC started off 3-0, we get them round 4, and that's where Mr. Fallen, those individual performances from the side of FUT started showing off, and it completely felt like it threw off KC.
This was like the only rifle they had as well, I'm pretty sure, Zescht.
Yes, it was the only rifle they had. And most importantly, like, those rounds seemed like there were so big advantages on the side of Carmine Corp. There was no real issue. There was no real problem. Taking a look at it again, look at the spacing, look at the placement, look at the movement. Like, this man should have been punished for what he has done. But what happens in the end? They succeed. And obviously they succeed because, you know, we've been talking about great Turkish performances on the tactical side of things. But if one thing they never stop doing well, it is aiming. And that worked in that round really well.
And they started off really awkward. They're just sort of peeking out, trying to take fights, and Navira's there waiting with the operator. Speaking of which, Navira had 3 kills with the op, Scream had 3 kills with the op.
Yeah.
Kiwi had 11. He had more than double of both of them combined when they were even using the op together at the same time. Like, it was just, it was tough for KC to get in on this one.
Yeah, it was very much the Q-Rax as well coming in. We said it with the Gecko, but the individual performances didn't just stop at Mr. Fallen. The fact that Q-Rax just was having the game of his life.
Absolutely. I mean, particularly what I found so great is that Ender mentioned it. You know, it's not easy to you know, adapt to a new agent that you're playing on a map where you've had played something different previous. And it's great to watch because there have been some instances of great utility usage. Right here, clears it very early and gets his ult back because you obviously can use it twice, right? Yeah. Ta-da! C side is empty. Like, this was one of those things that I liked a lot about his ult, where he can just use it again, Ryan, and makes it so easy for his team to benefit from the room this agent can take.
Yeah, it's just also like early in the round, they sort of expect KC to be hitting those sites. We even see like the mosh pit as well on the typical plant position. It forces people out, and it makes things really difficult on these retakes. The amount of assists that Q-Rax was able to get as well, just little flashes like that around corners, made it really easy. He had 122 ACS when he played against Vitality. He had almost triple that this game.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
I mean, you don't need to use your util if you can shoot like that.
Yeah, and here you see it again, like, this is one of those simple things where you usually have like a Sova or a Fate throwing their stuff in, but you know what, they're doing it differently. They're using their flash, you know, indicating kind of a combination, which obviously the flash of Gecko does, and I like that. I like, because they're not overcomplicating it in no senses. They find a replacement for something that Sova or Fate would do, fine, here we got it, and here it works in the executes.
Yeah, speaking about the executes, specifically the KC retakes, when they were on the side of the defense, I really like that they dropped out of heaven with the pistol and got 2 picks.
It's just really good timing. Like, I think that's the main thing. And when it comes to timing, this is something that Carmine Corp has struggled with, even like before Zescht jumped in, even before the win, just how this utility comes together. And it really feels that Gecko is at very least a good disruptor of that.
Absolutely. I mean, another thing is that you don't play it often in Prax, right? You're just basically not used to it in that sense, which I like a lot. But, you know, coming to it in the end of the day, it felt like what was successful last week from Carmine Corp, which was, you know, their defensive side versus Koi, with all those retakes, that just didn't take place. And FUT played it much better in that sense. I just basically enjoyed it. It was basic FUT. It was not, you know, I think, you know, S-tier FUT that I know, but still worked well enough kind of FUT, and that's all right for me.
Yeah, I think FUT initially I was nervous about because they looked nervous themselves, just trying to peek into stuff. But then they had a bit more cohesion. The timeouts did them wonders, and it was a really dominant attacking side. I think outside of the pistol, Carmine only picked up 2 defensive rounds, which is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, once they got into the swing of things, FUT was looking incredibly scary. But if you're wondering how important it is for KC to actually win their own map, they can push this to the 3rd mapper. We got some permutations ready for you, because if they lose this, it's not looking good, bruv.
I wish it would only not look good by the numbers, but you know who's coming up next as well.
Yeah.
Like losing, brings you in 23% likelihood with all the scenarios existing, right? But then when you take a look at the beautiful menu, you're going to see, oh wait, by the way, there's Navi coming up and Giants as well.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any easier. So it matters a lot to find this victory. Not their map pick, but still not comfortable in my eyes.
Yeah, going to Ascent is going to be an interesting one overall because this is like Carmen have not had the best record on it for one, but they chose to play it. This was a map that they, at the start of the year, were banning out permanently, and then have started to pick it themselves. So surely if you're FUT in this position, like, all right, we won in our map pick, we looked really good on the end, let's try and take that momentum in. And we're also choosing the side we chose to defend first, which was really good for them because Carmen's attacking side is awful on this map.
Yeah, it very much is. But once more, we have to remember one thing, right? Leave the Koi game aside. It was a 13-11 versus the guys of Na'Vi.
Yeah,
I still think you're absolutely right. You've lost this, and one of the sides didn't look too great. I'm with you on that. But at the same time, I believe you first of all have the confidence to do this after 2 losses. Second of all, maybe your map pool is kind of restricted. Third of all, this is the interesting part to me, is that you've always been so close, and I think this matters a lot. This team looks, and I think this is the great part. They don't look down. They don't look sad. They're really like, as they said in one of those interviews, they look like they have no pressure, and I think that's really great.
Yeah, pressure could get to these players, and the pressure is on for this time around because heading into Ascent, if they lose this, it's out. They have a possibility to push to the 3rd map, but from what we've seen historically, from what we've just seen on Haven, how realistic are we expecting this to be working out?
I mean, so far for Carmen, they've got 100% win rate on those pistols. Being able to carry that on, because I do think that FUT have a bit of a bad habit of being slow starters on maps, especially. On this against Koi, it took them like 4 or 5 rounds to get in on the end. And even then, that was Kiwi getting a share of 4K on an eco. So there's some bits of magic for FUT, but they want to be consistently strong at the start. I think Carmen just kind of want to come in and show why they've picked this map and show a bit more team play on these attacking rounds because their spacing is really difficult to work with.
Such a buzzword, team play, right?
Yep.
But I give you the point, right? I fully agree that this is something they've been lacking a little bit there on the attacking side. But I think the next word would be creativity because they were stuck in that one pattern that they had, which was successful temporarily, but not permanently. And this is where I hope that they have, adapted their diversity on this map a lot. I don't think they prac too many maps, this would be my assumption, so I'm very much looking forward into what the team has brought new to the table or refined.
Okay, when we're talking about new things and adaptability, are we taking agents into consideration for that as well?
Yep. I personally think so, because the thing that I saw, do you remember week 3 when FUT played versus Koi? This was the week where they announced that Moosh is out, right? Yep. And this is where they then put afterwards, obviously, Ada Captain on the race, a rare sight, you could pretty much say. So I'm very curious to see if that changed, if Ada is on a different agent right now, or if he sticks to the race.
Well, they were playing double duelist for once.
So. There we go. There we go. And this means Mr. Fall is going to play something totally else.
I wouldn't have what then, because this other cross note.
All right.
So he's on the silver. This looks more like straightforward from FUT's side.
Double initiator.
On for KC, this looks pretty much exactly the same as it has been, right? Oh no, actually, they were playing Fade, now they've moved over to Silver. So Shin, I was really perplexed as to why he was playing Fade in the first place. You don't have that race to combo with. So now maybe it's just an element of comfort. They've got some setups to work with. But right now, it's both teams had something that was a bit different on Ascent. Yeah. Both going for something much more straightforward.
I like the adjustment on the FUT side the most, though. To be very frank, going into classics away from double duelist, which is the super rarest thing on Ascent, to now go for the classic double initiator, Omen, Killjoy comp. It's perfect. It's like the most classic, but the best.
Playoffs on the line for K-Corp as this is their own map pick. Started off with a little bit of a struggle on Haven, but can they turn things around with Ascent? I mean, find out with Pablito and Enders.
Yeah, I wonder if they will turn things around. They are known to do things over and over again, even if they don't work, like hitting that ace site on Haven. And the same thing I feel with Ascent, they've played it in the last 2 maps and they haven't won it.
I mean, look, it's Ascent. There's only so many unique things you can do. You all thought Icebox was bad. I shame on you, shame on you. But no, all things considered, it was actually FUT that was playing the more unique things in the past.
Yeah.
The Ada Captain Raise was, of course, a blast, you could say. But now they're going back to the tried and true. I do think it was interesting. I'm pretty sure it was Ada Captain that said, it may have been someone else on the team, that said they locked in the Raise because their attack side sucked on this map and they just couldn't figure it out, so they wanted to sort of overwhelm the sites. So I'll be curious to see how that sort of shapes up here when we do get over onto that side, because I do believe they chose defense first.
Yeah, and what performance bias tells me is that K-Corp neatly beat Na'Vi on Ascent. That should say something.
Okay, it says exactly that. They
Performance
nearly
bias.
beat Envy.
Uh-huh.
Navi.
Envy?
And I came from NAVCT,
I know,
so
I know.
it's a bit confusing. But
Well, let's jump into the game. It's K-Corp on attack, FUT on defense on this brand new frontier.
Based.
K-Corp's map pick this time around. There is a movement towards his right-hand side with 3 defenders nearby.
Scream got Superman'd here, so was dropped the Frenzy by, I believe, Shin, and then just has the light armor on top of that. Here we go, we'll see what he can do.
Well, they do manage to enter. I believe Kiwi has yet to reveal himself. He can still be a caveat in the mix, but it doesn't even come down to him. Mr. Fallen out of Captain Kurax have got everything under control. And just like that, blinking, you miss it, FUT on the board.
All right, well, the analyst desk was very optimistic about Karmine Corps' pistol rounds.
Maybe it's pistol rounds against rifles.
Okay, now we're talking, the little sheriff rounds. I get on board. Okay, I mean, when they're just doing that, I don't really know what you're meant to do. Of course, Scream should never be worried about getting swung by someone from tree, because his team should have that, because his teammate that's holding that gets spammed through the smoke. He then gets shot in the back after getting blinded and just put in a miserable spot. That's an easy kill.
I feel like it's so BM when you ping it right before you kill.
Yeah.
There's something comical about this.
I'm gonna have to warn you guys. You know how we lost the screen for a second in the last round? We just lost it for a moment there too. So it's possible that we just start saying random words at times because, yes, the screen has frozen for us.
Does it matter?
You'll have to bear with us.
Does it really matter in a round like
Yes,
this?
because they have a share. You just said this. It's the pistol versus rifle rounds that they're famous for.
It's called the caster's curse as well. Or the caster's blessing if you're a K-Corp fan. Still equal in regards to players. What's interesting is that the A site is fully barren, and if Shin does elect to go for a little walk, you might find it as such, but with Mr. Fallen dropping back, no. Information may be relayed.
I mean, what I will say is that Fallen being sort of stuck down in the trenches on the site would mean that's a very easy rifle to recover. Now, this movement from Krax, I think, is absolutely right, sort of reading the timing. Like, yeah, they could be faking and sort of re-hitting into B, but making sure that by the time they could have rotated through their own spawn, they're going to have a second player here to help out Fallen.
Great read by FUT.
Dart shooters? Any dart breakers? Okay, that's a little late. I believe he had utility in hand, Krax there, so wasn't able to stall that.
They know there are at least 2 players now towards this A side. There's not much time, which means they'll be confident to hold out this defense. Mr. Fall into the back of it. Scream trying to find a backstab. 7 seconds. Yep, ain't no time in this one, baby. The round is over, and it's solidified with a triple by Krax. 2-0 on the board for FUT.
Karmine Corps are a fairly patient team, I think is the polite way of putting it. That round, of course, just no real luck on that one. I think their best chance was sort of play off of the dart and actually get onto site, but no one really went in, so they just sort of get cut down on those long-range angles and come out fairly worse for wear. Now, I will say FUT's buys. FUT is meta-resilient, you could say, in the sense that they do not believe in the light armor. For most of the time. They also don't believe in like heavily investing into rifles, by the Bulldogs, Phantoms, whatever, in round 2s. So this is a true bonus from them coming on through. I mean, Kiwi has the Operator heading into round 4, which is a very nice thing to have, especially on a map like Ascent. It doesn't give them the best options here in this third round.
Now, well, FUT might not be a believer in many things. But they may be...
Did that drone... Wait, which direction did that drone go? Did that go through market, or did that... I think it had to have, and then somehow caught him in the back. It's crazy.
Scream fairly deep now up in this mid position. No reinforcements really. Rest of his team focused on positions that FUT might be pushing, but no, everybody's holding back. Struggling to kind of gain ground towards short either. Not much utility expended on the FUT side.
They're really waiting for Scream to find something. You can see they're not over-committing towards A. There's still utility on that side, so if he finds a pick, they instantly slam into B, but now the clock is working against them, and there's going to be 2 players stuck back site. With the clock going down, this could just be lost on time. Now you've got 3 players. They don't have to fight into Scream. They can just focus down onto this fight around stairs.
It's dangerous. It's really dangerous. FUT with 2 players to the back of the site, yet to be challenged. They've got no idea that this position is being taken place, but no, the Marshal will start to shoot here from Kiwi. Push from Thrax is going to stop them from even pushing even further. XMS on the case, Shin as well. Interrupted by Mr. Fallen. It's clean. Zescht, the only player alive, and he's got the spike in his hand. 7 bullets, 13 seconds, not much going for him. But he's going to try and plant. No, it's a fake. Runs out of bullets. Gets the first one. Will try and plant for a second time around. Again, a fake. 4 seconds. Has to commit with it, but it's out in the open. And that's where Adacaptain would have put a brain. Well, would put a brain in his bullet? No, would put a bullet in his brain.
We'd have to go retrieve the brain afterwards. But no, just the Ferrari swing right there. Running and gunning with the SMG. Exactly what you need there at the very end. And I mean, yeah, KC, they weren't able to find the pick on the screams. They stall out so much time. And then on site, the fact that they've got the Spectre is not too bad because you're taking all these low to mid-range fights, feeling completely happy. You also have the KO playing back in the smoke towards CT with a quick flash out on the right click, instantly able to find the one. And it just falls apart for Karmine Corps. They didn't even get the plan, so it's not even like they have the extra money to try and go light armor plus rifles. I think that may have actually ended up being fairly impactful there, and like I was saying, the operator in round 4 just puts this side on lockdown.
Yeah, and you can see Karmine Corps completely spread out. Not wanting to interact with one another, maybe mad at each other. That would be interesting, but no.
I think you're reading a little bit into
I don't want to play with you. I'll do my own thing.
No one's holding hands on the map, so they must hate each other.
Yeah, that's totally
the
how
kind of
Valorant
drama,
works, right?
That's the drama esports is missing. Like, figuring out how the teams are playing in-game and then just making up, like, paparazzi stories about them, right? Like, so, oh, Scream wants to join FUT because he was hanging out in their spawn.
Like, XMS was hanging out in pizza with no one, which means he wasn't sharing his food.
Oh, man.
Oh, that missed.
Okay. Kiwi's a pacifist, refuses to kill Scream.
All right, we're reading into it a little bit too deep here, but there's a lockdown enabled and clearly an opportunity here for the KC side. Mr. Fallen, is he able to get out of this? They know this is a corner that has to be checked, but the Odin still keeps him alive, somehow keeping this team alive in that one, and the rotates already there. 4 in the back for FUT, none for KC.
This, I mean, I don't love calling timeouts so early in the half that you don't really have a read on what the opposition is doing, but we've seen this sort of idea from Karmine Corps a couple of times now, where it's just sort of scream, run down mid, see if you can find a fight towards spawn, and then pivot off of that. But I actually kind of dig the way FUT are playing. They're not playing too heavy into mid. If they do fight into mid, it'll be with the operator early on into a round. And then they're actually playing to like close the door on B a lot of times. Sort of give up that whole pathway up towards pizza, because it's really hard to peek into defender spawn from mid. Because you have to worry about both left and right. Yep. Not necessarily always having players watching that on the defense, but just the fact they could be either side of you makes it really tough. So, yeah.
Down mid.
And if Kiwi's allowed to do that all day long, he'll be taking advantage of it over and over again. We'll be dropping back.
Just throws his shorty at the window. And that's actually sweet. That's actually great tech, though, because you only have the 2 pumps and the shorty. So on the classic, you wouldn't mind, taking a shot, but that lets you blitz on through.
The unfortunate for Karmine Corps is they're losing players left and right. No trades coming forth either. Nivera isolated yet again. And XMS and Shin again playing alone.
Yeah. It's just isolated play. I mean, they were walking together earlier, but the fact is, it's just taking these fights sort of unsupported, whether it's running into the operator a couple of times or that re-aggress into A main that I liked from FUT as the tree hits coming in, knowing, hey, A main probably weak. You probably have 1-2 players there max as the enemy team is working up cat at the same time. So I like the idea from FUT to call those sort of mid-round re-aggresses, and a lot of times, if you can catch out the enemy team when they're trying to split into your site, you're going to feel so great about yourself, because Ascent is all about being able to find control through mid and then pivot into a site. It's why I think Jett is so powerful on defense, because it's really hard to fight over mid, I think, on defense, but just posting up an operator looking for a peek into mid forces, at the very least, a bunch of utility out of your opponents to sort of cut off those angles.
And as we enter into the 6th round of this game, already we fear that Karmine Corp are falling quite far behind, not in the position they would have liked to be, given that in the pistol round that they had, they thought they were going to win by investing some ultimates that they couldn't use now that they had the guns. Now that they did indeed invest into weapons, they end up dropping another one, falling victims to the proactivity of FUT. So slowly but surely dropping back here and being already a map on the bounce. This is definitely not a grand situation for them. But the timeout, I can very much understand.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get around this operator in mid? Because jump peeking from tiles is not the answer, turns out. The angle he was holding was to punish a jump peek, sort of push all the way back into the corner with just a sliver, catching as you come around the corner, because if you want to jump peek and see the Jet when she's playing a more passive line back toward the tree, you have to go out a little bit wider. So when you take that more extended angle, you get critical, like 0.1, 0.2 extra seconds, where you can see a player, and at the pro level, that's what makes the difference. It makes it a very simple shot for Kiwi to take there. And as long as he continues to get fluid with it, it's going to be tough for KC to react, because we have yet to see him go for sort of an A or B main operator, and that may be the pivot that FUT go to in this round, because you're expecting, okay, Karmine Corp, what are you looking for? Either you're going to have a better answer of dealing with the operator in mid, or you're looking to play much more quickly through one of the mains. So I think putting the op looking for an early fight in one of those areas could be good for them.
Time for a switcheroo, basically. That's what we're looking here from Karmine Corp as well. Playstorm available for Scream. I would have been interested if a Vandal would have been dropped, so he could utilize that.
Wait, Scream, give your rifle
game.
to a teammate.
That's what I was thinking.
Wait, that's just incorrect. Wait, Zescht has 3,100 credits, and he didn't buy. But they have enough to get 4 rifles and knives, and I'm sorry, but I'm having my Karmine Corp forgot to buy again moment.
The maths ain't mathing.
This one, it wasn't even a celebration. They had an extra minute to make this choice.
Flash.
Maybe Bladestorm next round?
No,
Is the call?
Nope.
Well, that is the call, but whether that is a good idea, questionable. Kiwi holding it out yet again. No, there's movement in his direction. Aljoran will be spotting it, has to shoot it down and repositions. But here comes a push. All of them from short. There is Nivera further back in the main angle, but hasn't positioned himself too aggressively to put too much pressure at himself. And with Scream already out of the equation, it's already getting tougher by the second. And we're already down to 40 seconds.
I mean, Karmine Corp have one pivot, and it's like you play up a solo player into mid, hope you can get a kill and work into something, but nope. Shin backs up off that angle. They're going to work into A, but 30 seconds left. The XMS isn't here, so it's just a 3-player site take.
It's a 3-on-3. And that does not work for the defenses, although Shin is able to find one. Mr. Fall in with the Hunter's Fury is raining from a distance. He's relevant even without him being there. And yeah, XMS and Nivera locked out. Nivera doesn't even have a gun to save.
Imagine you're coaching Karmine Corp. You call a timeout, come up with some way of dealing with it, and then you just don't have rifles. You want to slam that button again right here, but you literally can't. I am shocked.
Shooketh. FUT 6-0. Good start for them, right? They are playing solid Valorant right now. Not that they're being pressured, at least to the extent that we've seen the past couple of rounds. It's been an operator show. It's been Kiwi just constantly grabbing pick after pick.
I mean, okay, hold on. I'm like trying to think this through, because obviously he had to have bought a Sheriff. So the actual theory, because I think now Nivera has an operator, is that they so desperately wanted to have an operator on attack that they were committing a heavier save that round, if I'm trying to like do some kind of mental gymnastics. I still don't think that's worth. But, okay.
It is what it is. And now with Karmine Corp moving towards A, it splits, right? Spike to the left-hand side kind of indicates that they may end up in that position, trying to lure players to the right as 3 players try to attack.
I mean, really what I just want to see is a heavy slam with the KO ult. They had that last round, and actually Moj is playing on top of his utility here, so he would get caught out by that. All of his stuff would get turned off. A lot of times when you see the KO ult ready on attack, you'll have your Sentinel player play opposite side of the map from their utility. Obviously, Killjoy can't play completely far away, but she could tuck in a little bit more towards spawn, as an example. Just make sure you get the mollies off.
That's actually very well timed, that cover. And there's still more in the chamber for the captain to throw as soon as it's 70. They're going to have to push through this dry. Scream onto the side. Nanoswarm prohibiting the push, and it's a simple mowdown with all that hot lead up until their bodies. And still, no pick from KC really, apart from the ult kill from Shin.
Watch Motion Hell right here. This could be absolutely huge. Shin's trying to take the fight, but from sight.
Moj stays alive somehow. Zescht on the top. Tries to stay on site alive against 2. It's difficult. Again, a very familiar position. We've seen him before, but hasn't been successful in the past. 14 seconds and counting. Mr. Fallen elevated, delivering 7-0 for Fort. Karmine Corp cannot find their answer.
Just from bad to worse here, Karmine Corp. No one's giving them their fight, and then they're eventually working in with very little time on the clock. And this time, I think all the Killjoy utility goes off. Yeah, it does. See, okay, after, like 1 second after they used the Hunter's Fury, that's when they used the KO ultimate. So Killjoy had all the time in the world to actually get the util off. A blunder, I think, there in the attack, because you have a chance to catch that off and not get stalled out back in main, but it just made the spacing, I think, very uncomfortable working onto the site.
And you can see how much slight mistimings can make all the difference sometimes. Definitely a key indication of that particular case. But now, mid-aggression here from Karmine Corp. Kiwi is in a perfect position to capitalize on it. He's got reinforcements. He's got position to drop back to. He's got his cross at the right spot, but doesn't deliver the finishing blow at the end. Scream ends up falling to cracks, though. And the push is halted. It's stopped in its tracks.
Well, Nevera didn't have a second smoke ready because he used one, I think, for Cat early, then a deep smoke in mid. So they're pushing out, trying to capitalize off of the missed op shot, but the util isn't there. So in comms, this is getting lost. The awareness isn't there in the heated moment that Scream tries to take advantage of.
And now without Scream, tempo isn't quite there anymore. Probably wind taken out of their lungs at this point, but now they're going to start peeking things dry, which is where Kiwi can shine most, right? Without obscuring his vision, he can still deliver. He's got clear lines of fire. And as time ticks, the more pressure goes onto the attacking team. Spike isn't down, not even close again in control of the site. Mr. Fallen to the center of it. They're just being circulated all the way around. How do you account for all these angles? And Kiwi still chimes true with more. Minute by minute, second by second, they start to dwindle, but Shin still alive, and Nevera just bounced right back up. It's 2v2, and Nevera misses a crucial shot for right back into it, at a captain to the back line, and it's all down to Shin. He's onto the side alone.
Shin's got to move.
Can he find it, though? Nope. They do swing simultaneously, and that's FUT not allowing KC to win.
I mean, respect to Shin there, almost giving a chance for them to get into the round, because FUT were not giving a fight to Nevera. Nevera's got an op, sat in B main the entire round. No one's actually peeking him from CT. So effectively, Shin was in a 1 versus 2 until he can deal with the site players. Then Nevera had a moment to peek out. He gets his, probably should have had the second, a bit unfortunate on that one, but Karmine Corp, they look a little bit lost without finding the early fights. Right there, obviously you lose your dive player in Scream going into site because not all the smokes are up, and he's just thinking a little bit, his hands are moving faster than the mouth and the brains on that. And then after that, just solo fight after solo fight, and that's something you can't do against FUT. Like, FUT individually are so skilled just in their ones. It's one of the first things I sort of noticed with them coming into this year, because I don't think expectations were sky high for this team or anything like this, but from week 1, it's like, hold on, like, you just have like highlight reel after highlight reel of Moj dominating on the Killjoy, Mr. Fallen taking first fights on the Omen over on Lotus, then, you know, the insane clutch moments as well from Ada Captain. You saw that before you saw the whole package, and now that the rest of the teamwork is starting to come together for the squad, they're making dents towards the upper side of the standings.
Yeah, they've definitely fallen back from that 6-man idea, and with the core roster that they've got right now, they're trying to build that coordination. And it's starting to work out for them. Slow, but still at the middle of the pack, really, of this VCT EMEA championship.
Oh my, the lockdown at 40 seconds. Karmine Corp just have to play faster, so that's over at 30 seconds. There's still Killjoy util there. Are they gonna push spawn?
No.
30 seconds.
But again, like look at the clock.
They
There's
put it in
double
reverse.
volleys on lane and a turret. 25 seconds. The spike is B main.
Oh, and it's a go on the B site. Spam with the Odin. Mr. Fallen looking for spread damage, but ends up falling to a Sheriff shot by Nivera. It's massive. Not only huge, Moj left on his own. He's going to be suppressed. They know he's at the back of it, but he does get one before he drops. Sheriff shots by Shin are exactly what they needed. They don't have much time, but just enough to get the spike down.
Absolutely huge. Foot try to funnel in one after one, just stalling. Don't let the spike go down. But that means 2 rifles in the hands, 4 players entrenched on the site now.
They're going for it. They've got monies for days. They're going to give it a go for sure.
2 flashes still ready to go. Also double smokes for Kiwi to get down lane if he wanted to.
Cracks. Oh, Carmine Corp are playing this so patient. Just hold out, no reason to push out. Shin out in the open though. This time around, shots onto Nivera, makes him know. XMS on site. And the call has been made. No way you get a 1v3 clutch with just an operator. And that's finally around for Carmine Corp.
Look, Kiwi is wealthy beyond belief. It doesn't actually matter if he saves or not, realistically. But he doesn't actually want to give the operator over to Nivera. True. That's genuinely what the call is there. Don't let that happen. I mean, tracking some of the bullets there, just trying to find the pick with the Odin spam through smoke. Respect to Shin now, again, a couple of rounds in a row. And he's given Carmine Corp genuine winning chances. And now, charged up the ultimate off of that, you start to see a vision heading into the last 3 rounds of this half.
It's hard to say how much Carmine Corp can gain out of this one. You know, how much momentum they've really garnered and how much this will stop FUT. It's definitely an isolated round, not unlike the others.
Good knife there. Sort of investing a lot of utility, but with how slow Carmine Corp play, it doesn't actually matter. You use both scouting pieces there, trying to bait the jet into the smoke.
Scream, instead of pulling the trigger onto the alarm bot, ends up throwing a cloudburst at it, which means it's still there and still has to take it down. I'll join right after him. He knows he's in trouble, so has to get out of there quickly unless he's able to find a kill out of Captain.
Oh, no.
He faked the TP earlier. They've got no clue he's here. He's playing the trigger discipline play. He's going to wait for more.
Oh, no.
He's given a call for Mr. Fallen to drop back. Scream is doing nothing. Oh! Blunders for a second, but he's got an ace up his pocket and ends up still on top.
My heart! I couldn't take that for a second. Scream equally confused, but now dead. The operator is actually playing wide out on Heaven here. Look at this smoke. Just trying to get a little bit of extra space on the site. It's wacky, it's funky.
Paranoia.
But they're still not ready for this angle.
Oh. Kiwi had an opportunity there to find a kill. It's either going to be a trade or nothing at all.
Spike planted.
But still 3v4. Close endeavor. Spike gone down. Shinny's got the Hunter's Fury. I wonder if he wants to play for the post plant with that, but no, he's actually underneath his sight, point blank.
Especially down in numbers, you can't abandon the site. Even if you use it for stall, you have to fight with your players or they die while you're using Hunter's Fury.
Trying to set up a crossfire here. Out into the open. Nivera, very risky, but Shin is able to trade right back out. Both of the players hand in hand. Peek out from XMS, ends up dropping. Shin, good first shot, good double up. And now he's got only one left. So it's over. Recon to the floor. Mr. Fallen swings, pulls the trigger time and time again, but it's Shin on top. Quadra kill and a second round for Carmine Corp.
Shin, round after round, just pulling KC up. Insane. What's higher than a foot? A Shin, baby. This guy is absolutely cooking.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're
Comparing
doing
body parts.
now.
Is that how it all works?
Look, I've got a whole bank of them, you know, like, you know, who would win, a foot or the blue wall that it tries to kick? Just unfortunately, Carmine Corp haven't given any moments to use them. Now finally a chance, but oh, that's nasty.
That's kind of nasty. It won't be utilized this round. Doesn't seem there's any mid presence, but it gained some info maybe.
Are we actually just going to see a full commit in with the lockdown here? Seems to be the idea.
Possible. We've seen it before from Carmine Corp.
You can also use Nivera's ult just to scout Boathouse and make sure no one's hiding back there. Or use the operator and kill them.
You've got options.
Sky's the limit.
You should run.
Let's see what's the limit on this defense, though. Lockdown does put them under pressure. Yes, there's a fragment grenade to drop the lockdown. So it does relieve it for a little bit.
Okay, that knife didn't go as far as they wanted. And check out this double flank.
They've gained so much info.
I mean, the thing is, Karmine Corp don't really fake sites, so why not look for the fake? You have so much time to come on the flank. There's no util watching the back either.
They know everything. The thing is that the two players at the back of site don't really have help right now.
Oh, that paranoia from bench actually hits all the players, stalls it out a bit.
Oh, and one of the players on the flank already are down. And there's no real flank. It's as if there's two players in market, so no difference for Karmine Corp really, but they've got to deal with the two at the back of the site, and they haven't done that just yet. Trying to throw a fragment towards them. Moj delivering, whoa, nice little headshot there. Moj still alive, but still trading in favor of Karmine Corp. And it's Guardians, Operators, and Vandals all together, chiming through with a third round for Karmine Corp to at least close the gap a little bit before halftime ends.
It's starting to come online for them now. Better late than never. I didn't see exactly what happened to the mid player. Bit unfortunate, just falling on that pressure point coming into the back. Because there was, ooh.
I see you, you see me.
The Spider-Man meme. They're both holding operators. But one of them kills the other. It's not very...
It's not very friendly neighborhood.
No.
Spider-Man, is it?
It's like Venom.
True. Or Spider-Man in a different multiverse, you never know. Anything is possible.
Aren't they homies? I don't really know.
Yeah, but there's always a universe where he can be evil, right? I don't know. Multiple variations.
Navarre's getting chipped like every round. Tough spot to be in on the op. Ooh.
And that's the end of Scream. That's the end of Shin Kiwi. He's been called the executioner this round, given the role and given the blades as well to just chase after him. He's looking to give him a gruesome death. But still, Karmine Corp are going to have to drop back from that initial attempt. They know the A site is a blockade, but maybe they'll try and find an opening, a crack through the other walls.
It's hard to find cracks against FUT, because when they find opening picks, they're very good at shrinking their position and not putting themselves in spots where they can then give over easy ones. I was nervous for a second, right? Kiwi gets the second kill, pops the knives. Is he going for some updraft craziness? No, ends up falling back just a little bit. Although now, with the clock working down, they are reading this B rotate just a touch. Cracks coming in. Now they have the intention in mid, but that doesn't block off the fact it could still be a split into tree, so it's just the two players
30 seconds
towards this
left.
B site. The fact that Moj's main is sick, but he's got a judge, so he can't really fight out of this spot. Ooh. Oh.
Well, XMS got a pick, and all of a sudden, this seems fathomable. Kill off Curax, and that's it. XMS looking to swing past it. Does use up space, and his team is able to obliterate. XMS still alive, excuse me. And he's even pushing through a smoke here. What a cheeky man. Mr. Fallen has no clue. XMS finally put to his grave, but this puts us in an Omen 1v1. And it's Nivera versus Ada Captain.
Spectre versus Op.
But the HP matters as well. Nivera is down to 47, Ada Captain full. Walking into his own smoke, Nivera, you need to look at the right direction. Oh, but Ada Captain knows to close up the distance. But the swing from him allows Nivera to line up his shot and end up on top. 8-4. Karmine Corp have definitely closed up the gap here.
Ada Captain has been watching a little bit too much TikTok. That's trying to get a bit extra with the teleport on that one. But Nivera holds it down. And respect to them. I mean, a 3 versus 5. Converting into that after the 2 op kills went on through. Here, the judge actually backed up. Initially was not an angle. XMS wasn't able to be peeked by Market, but then I don't really know what the decision was to step back there, maybe trying to walk the way back, see if anyone had gone into Market, I don't know, but ends up costing them just that pressure coming in from B main, and probably could have been the pivot point that could have won them the round.
And here we were praising FUT from not having cracks in their walls, but apparently Karmine Corp was able to kick through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just like a strictly with judge there moment. Because if you have a rifle, you're probably playing like, maybe you're holding like a deeper line or you're more tucked in. I think you'd be a little bit more aware as opposed to slowly backing his way off the corner. But I mean, things got off so hot for FUT, right? Just hit after hit was stalled out. KC were completely taking their time. I do think the game simplifies a bit now for KC moving over towards the defense. A lot more room to control over mid, but that'll come down to Nivera's operator more often than not.
And look, I feel like Karmine Corp is always a team that works well off of tempo, right? When the feeling is good, when they're all coordinated, when the energy is alive for them, it's more often than not that they'll end up carrying on that tempo, carrying on the streak. And now they've got 4 rounds in a row, right? So heading into the other side on defense, they're looking to feel a little bit more comfortable. And 8-4, doesn't look too far. Doesn't look too far at all.
Especially if Shin keeps up the performance like that. That B site might not be the most fun to work into if you're FUT. That's where he's likely going to be heading over on that Sova. But, I mean, all things considered, I think that FUT, while yes, they lost the last 4 rounds, their Haven looked quite solid. I think attacking-wise, there weren't any like glaring issues there either. Yeah. So this is the challenge, though, because like I said before the game, they said they put Raze and Jet into this comp to mend their attacking side. So I'm curious what that attack does end up being for them. And how they're sort of able to work around the operator's control over mid when we get deeper into the rounds.
It's time to see. It's time to see if Karmine Corp have got what it takes. Draw it right back up. I mean, we're all surprised in general. When it comes to this regular season, I think we're all scratching our heads wondering, Karmine Corp have done what we wanted them to do from the start of this year. You know, well, not really get rid of Newzera. We kind of like Newzera. It's more of, you know, trying to play in a more traditional style, not try and reinvent the wheel. And they're falling back to defaults, fixing up the smaller mistakes, and then slowly, you know, breaching out to new frontiers.
See how much they can end up doing here, because, I mean, FUT are just flying down tree, trying to make as much noise as possible. You can see the spike in the hands of Adacaptain, trying to slowly work towards B. As that didn't fool anyone. They're hoping to pull this player in CT. They're hoping to pull Scream over towards Tree, but won't end up being the case.
It's a good little recon. Does delay the push here from the attackers quite extensively as well. Already you can see the rotates coming forth. Damaged up, Shock Dart's doing so much. Softened up for Shin and the rest to start delivering. XMS unable. Shin though still alive, looking for the heads, but unable to do so yet again. Q is actually the savior of FUT this round, giving them most of the kills. Well, there's only 2 left for Karmine Corp to deal with it.
Tough to work out here. Player in main. And Moj isn't giving them much of an angle.
Yeah, he's the guarantee at the end of the day, right? Can always appear out of thin air while the push is going on for Karmine Corp. They'll try and smoke him out for now. At least have a ticking clock on when they'll have to deal with him. But again, FUT low. Paranoia is actually quite strong, taking out 2 opponents. Nivera looking back right in time. Moj is no more. Now the 2 players on site have to be dealt with. Good flash right, but Adacaptain still able to put his elbow in front of Eye to keep himself in the game. FUT with 9 find themselves another pistol win.
Nicely done there at the end. Even though, I mean, 2 versus 4, KC put up a pretty solid fight with Nivera sort of holding the peak out of the B main smoke. I just think all in all, I saw some like good sort of like map fundamentals, map theory ideas from this team, sort of double shocking the smoke towards CT. So often, that round we saw with Scream playing in there, but so often you'll see the KO player inside of that smoke looking to right-click flash his own way out there and take a fight. So by throwing a couple of shocks, it either chips him out, gets a kill, or just forces him back off the angle while you try to work down into lane. Also, the idea of making a lot of noise in tree to pull that mid player over towards that angle while you quickly move back into market. These are good ideas that we're going to see FUT continue to work with as they go towards mid and B, I assume.
Should be solid for FUT. I think there's no questions around that. Right, looking at this attack side from FUT, what do you expect from it regarding the composition? Obviously, it's something we've always seen. Yeah, it's very familiar composition. But for anyone living under, under a rock,
it's the normal stuff. It's the normal stuff. I mean, on this round, there's working up through the mains, but a lot of times you'll see more fights over mid, trying to, see if you can pull players, pivot in, work into tree, dodge away from Killjoy, or burn her util and her control over tree or mid. The general ideas. This round, I like the one mid player of them being the player that didn't get a buy. Hold on though, Scream.
Yeah, no, Scream, hold the door! That is insane. He even finds a headshot onto Adacaptain there, but it's through this box, which keeps them alive. XMS trying to come through. They only need 1 bullet on each of their bodies, and that's it. They're done. Scream is also low, which means he's going to play a little bit more safe, which is why XMS comes in to help out on the spike, putting pressure at Adacaptain. Looking to hold on, but it's diffused halfway. Adacaptain swings and keeps his team on top. For goodness, that was close.
Once again, it gets a little risky at the end. Adacaptain holds the fort. Scream, some big headshots there. Did not have a very standout first half, but maybe he can get something going with that right there, because, I mean, just dancing on him. Tracking off of the dart there. Not always the easiest thing to do when you can't, have a rifle and just spam through a wall, but gets it slightly there and locks it down. But, I mean, now the fact that FUT have won pistol, converted into round 2, like, the the fearful operator on this map, you don't have to worry about when you have such a good first half and then you win out in the pistol. Like, you, in theory, are looking at that maybe not for a long time, right? Because KC have to buy all the way down. So even if they win this round, they won't have it in the next. If they lose, they'll just never have one. And FUT are just chilling all the way to the bank.
Enemy mark.
For now, Adacap them frontlining together with Kiwi. I can never count them out, man. We've seen it already in the first map. When you're able to find the openers just like this, still fathomable, still very much doable. They haven't cleared down Nivera, though, and he's still got a paranoia, and he still has got his gun to work with, and that's exactly what he does. Not only are they blinded, but we are as well.
We got hit by the paranoia. I'm going to cast off their screens down underneath. I can see that Zescht is doing some... Wait, no, that's not Zescht. It's Mr. Fallen, perhaps? I can't quite tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
I forgot to wear my glasses today, so if only I had known, we could have resolved some things here. But,
we could have.
You know, at the end of the day, one of the two teams that's playing on the stage currently won that round.
Karmine Corp won.
And that team is Karmine Corp, yes, yes.
Nice.
The corporation, as it were. And
I'm still calling them corporation.
We'll see how it happened. I mean, honestly, this setup from KC, even though they win, I want to see it change because it's begging individual players to win on their own. It's a single player tree. It's a single player on site. It's a single player A main. I want to see when Scream is playing more passive angles or, you know, not peeking into mid when he's playing in tree, have Zescht there. Right? All the time you see KO players play in trees so they can sort of pop flash off of your contact, or if you get smoked off, fall back into it, flash out of that one as well. But Scream just keeps getting put in spots where he's on his own entirely and is tasked with winning his. Both two players here, like, I don't see the vision on the defensive side where it's hide in a corner, hope you win yours, even though Jett can't dash out and escape there. If there's one player, you win that and you're fine. If there's ever a second player, you're in big, big trouble.
Big trouble, big trouble.
And this is the setup I wanted, right? Two players here. It's Nivera taking first contact with the flash coming behind.
Pulls the trigger and keeps it down. Ends up with two. Karmine Corp are actually right back in there. They're able to square things up with FUT misstepping their way into A, but the site is still theirs. We're looking at a retake. It'll take some time till Shin comes there, but they're patient to wait for it.
Shock Darts just try and catch XMS on the spam. The placements are all going to be on site with this turret actually turned off on the attack. Is supposed to watch out for the Heaven Peak, and now it's back online again, so they're not concerned about getting swung from up there.
Focus on short, though. There is two players trying to push forwards there. At the bottom...
Two players in hell, that's what I can tell.
That is what I can tell as well.
I might not be able to see, but I can rhyme.
They break the recon. Shin on top. They double up on Heaven yet again.
Shot down.
Standing.
And that is Kurax with two. I don't know, man.
But down in hell, getting the job done. You know it. You love it. Look, I just think the grit they showed in that round, right? The teamwork, battling against adversity, against a retake that was coming in with players and rifles and abilities. They just showed the tenacity in order to come ahead in this round that they, as you all saw, won.
I wish we could have seen it too, to be honest.
I'm really trying my best to cast, because I can see about like two players on each side, their actual POVs, just like looking down into the venue.
Yeah.
But it's not always the easiest to tell what's happening.
No, it's not easy at all. 11-5 though is the current score. Still, if you consider how close FUT are to closing things out, it's quite difficult for Karmine Corp to draw back, right? Like I said, they work good under tempo, under momentum, and it got stopped very, very early. Haven't been able to build it since. And it's necessary they do it now because they don't really have much ground to give.
Yeah, and I think like coming down to it, like they're the ones calling timeout, like the call has to be, we have to support Scream. It can't just be him against the world. Put him in spots we can play with utility. Ascent is like the Jett playbox map, the Jett KO, hold hands, you can go anywhere together. Tree, B main, A main. You can play like deeper setups towards CT market. We're sort of playing off one another. There's so many options.
Yeah.
Just get back to the basic fundies, the fundamentals, and it'll be fine.
Good old fundies. Okay, draw it back.
Get out of my way.
Well, the buy is rough, so it's not going to have to be this round. It's going to have to be the next one where FUT will be on map point.
Hold on.
And series
KC are
point.
just in the spawn. Is this, there has to be a KO ult right now. Okay. They were just hanging out, having a good time. Maybe they were doing like a huddle. Sometimes, you know, when you have an eco round and you just need some momentum, you just do a group hug.
Could be. That is a theory. I wouldn't say it's a
little
valid
fake
theory.
attempt, perhaps. I was thinking maybe
a little fake. It's actually worked. It's drawn 4 players towards this B site. Now, we'll be finding the site fully barren, open.
Yeah, the money is actually a little bit funky for FUT here, too. Fallen with just the pistol, like we saw in the bonus round, is going to be that late lurk activate. It has the Hunter's Fury, too, to work with. Okay, Scream.
Gives it a go. Still, doesn't end up on top. He's so low, man. The Feather to just step on him and Feather stepping on him. Feather falling on top of him. That will be the end of him. Really, at this point. Kiwi, up on top, showing extravaganza with the blades. Quadra, he's looking for the aces, going for it. XMS denying it at least. But there you have it. Extraordinary round there from Kiwi. Of course, he was up against pistols, but he had to make that look extravagant.
Everyone's blind against pistols. Get everyone, yeah. Add it to the montage. Add it to the
score tally. Puts it up to 20. You know?
Oh yeah, popping off. There's a little paranoia setup from down in hell. You can see they just scatter. Nothing you can do against that one whatsoever. It's actually pretty rare you see the paranoia held like super late into the post. A lot of teams just use that to clear it off.
He was mad because he didn't get the ace.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe you should have killed him. Like, I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. Solutions by Ender.
Cry more about it. All right. So this is the same setup from FUT last round where they're trying to show their info initiator util over towards the B site, pull the rotate. See Scream playing back towards CT has moved over towards B now. They're actually going to commit a little bit more with this one this time around. Now, Adacaptain has ultimate and spike. So there's a world where these players could have found like an opening pick or something and they could have, you know, really quickly pivoted over towards that B site. But for now, keep it calm, keep it easy breezy, and eventually work up mid into a B split, it would seem.
Heavy mid presence. I'm looking at a split into B. That's certainly what it looks to be. Lockdown straight away. Scream to the back end of it. Hunter's Fury
just cancel it.
Taking it down instantly, and Scream will be have to pushing out through his smoke. Adacaptain swings 180 degrees and ends up on top with a kill. If you look at Kiwi, he's so low, but he's still pushing up aggressively. Cracks. Kiwi ends up on top. No way! And Carmine Corp are looking into this one as if it's a fishbowl because they're on the outside and his FUT inside, getting themselves the dub. 2-0 on the board. Carmine Corp no more, and FUT make sure the dub is theirs.
That was dominance from FUT. I mean, the start of the game just 8-0 right out of the gates, but then even after the half switch, just seemed like Carmine Corp didn't have an idea of how to deal with the attack of FUT. FUT just sort of rolling in everywhere they're showing up. They're finding the opening kills and converting it into relatively simple rounds.
Yeah, a lot of similarities to what we saw on the previous iterations that they played on Ascent, right? Definitely feels like there is some progress to be made in regard to that map. Yes, we've seen improvements from him, but it's clearly not good enough to face up against a team like FUT, looking to be the Turkish pride, looking to be a team to not only represent Turkish aim, but Turkish brain, which we're really looking forward to see if they can actually end up being, you know, an all-rounder team.
Yeah, you know, it's been a couple of weeks where you have to pump the brakes on the FUT hype for a second. You know, wait and see, like, how does it actually filter out with them, you know, middle, pushing a little bit higher in the standings, perhaps. So, making quick work of Carmine Corp. Going to instill some good hope here for FUT. Of course, I mean, so many of these rounds, Moj had a couple he clawed away with. I think the A holds from them were also pretty nice, just using the breach utility from back in sight to stall things out the majority of the time. It seemed like that Haven map was just A site over and over and over again.
It really was the A-site simulator, wasn't it? It really was. And yeah, I feel like that lack of adaptation came across the entire series, right? We saw it a bit on Ascent, struggling to figure out what the solution was. But I feel like it's a proactivity of FUT that really put a difficulty into the wrench for Carmine Corp, right? Because what they played so far in the past 2 matches, wasn't exactly the style that FUT liked to play, right? It was a bit more reserved, a little bit laid back, sort of try to expend utility like on the Na'Vi side. Sure. This was a bit of a difference in approach that I feel does really well against a style that Karmine Corp tried to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, if KC are going to play super slow against you, just like don't give them early fights unless it's an operator trying to take an angle. So often it just ended up being these, 30 seconds left in a round, and we're trying to funnel into 3 players on A or B. That just isn't going to work. And then, with the side swap, Scream just was unable to find the opening fights because he wasn't having a teammate with him. I think that was a huge flaw and something that KC are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how do we support Scream on the defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We saw the first map that they were able to bring some fragging moments into the action. The second map, you couldn't quite sustain that, which is unfortunate. But we have a very interesting interview in the pit with Ginny, having Curax right next to her to see what he's got to say about the match.
Thank you, Pavlos. Bold of you to assume it's going to be interesting, but I'll do my best. We have Curax and Giovanna as well joining us. Thank you here for translating. We do appreciate it. Let's just jump straight into things, starting off with Haven. We've seen you guys play it once against Vitality. We've seen K-Corp only play it once as well. So talk us through the process of the map bans. What was it?
Vitality'ye karşı oynadınız daha önce Heaven'ı. Bugün ikinci defa oynadınız Heaven'ı. Ne düşünüyorsun? Heaven konusundaki düşünceler neler?
Heaven zaten bizim sevdiğimiz bir haritaydı. Karşıya göre de haritaları çıkardığımız zaman Heaven'ın bizim için daha iyi olabileceğini anladık ve Heaven üzerinde bu bir hafta boyunca çalışmaya devam ettik ve zaten Heaven'ımız güzel olduğu için bir sıkıntı olmadı.
Heaven is a map that we are confident with, and when we analyze the other team and then we realize that it's a good pick for this game as well. We start playing really well, and then we know that we are strong in Heaven and we won the game.
You had a really good performance as well on Haven, on Gecko. That was incredible. Can we maybe expect to see Gecko in different comps on different maps?
Gecko performansın gayet iyi. Gecko'yu başka komplarda görme imkanımız olacak mı?
Gecko ilk çıktığından beri biz takımı adapte etmeye çalışıyoruz zaten. İleride görebilme ihtimaliniz var gibi.
Biraz da konuşmayalım. When Gecko first released, we were trying to adapt in our team, and we were working hard on Gecko, and we might see in the future.
Okay, well, thank you for the leaks. We do appreciate that.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Ascent, though. The second map that we've seen, you guys started off incredibly strong. KC found that momentum to be able to get back. You guys then got back into the swing of things. What is the morale like at that time in point, and also what do you do as a team to get back into it?
Karmine Corp maçına başladığınızda çok yüksek bir momentum yakaladınız. Sonradan biraz durakladınız. Tekrardan yakaladınız. Buradaki takım momentumunuz ve mentaliteniz nasıldı?
Ya, maça çok iyi başladık zaten ama ondan sonrası için birazcık boşluğumuza denk geldi. 8-0 başladığımız için birazcık ve rehavete kapıldık. Ondan sonra baktık geri dönüş olduğu zaman direkt kendimizi toparlamaya adapte ettik ve o şekilde devam ettik. Zaten başından beri belliydi bizim daha iyi oynadığımız bu harita üzerinde.
We started with 8-0, so we start losing a bit of motivation, and then we realized that they're coming back, so we said, oh, let's keep in the focus. We catch our focus, and we managed to win this game, but we were expecting this happen, but we were prepared for this.
Okay, well, lovely to see. I mean, are you prepared for next week and the week after? You have Na'Vi and BBL coming up. How are we feeling about those?
Önümüzdeki maçlar için hazır mısınız? Önce Na'Vi, arkasından da BBL maçlarınız var. Ne düşünüyorsun?
Ligi yukarıda bitirmemiz için çok önemli 2 maç olarak görüyorum ben. Seed avantajını kazanmak için full focus son 2 maça da odaklanıp 2 maçı da kazanmaya çalışacağız.
To catch the seed opportunity, those 2 games is really important for standings. That's why we will try hard and work hard on our game.
Well, thank you both, Jaman and Hirax, for the interview. We do appreciate it. We're going to be heading over to a break, and we'll be back shortly.
Nice! Wow! Nice! Nice! Nice! Nice! Nice!
Red Bull gives you wings.
Zero distraction. Zero doubt. Zero opposition.
Usually when I see a target, I won't miss. I try to find weaknesses wherever they are and just game by game try to pick up on anything I can. So this training course is a way for me to really showcase and demonstrate all the questions you guys have been asking, you know, how to get better aim, and it really enables me to answer a lot more and kind of expand on the first video I made like so long ago about VALORANT fundamentals.